Hi everyone, it's Elena, Fahad and Srilal from Provident Homes. So today is a really, really special day. Fahad, why don't you tell us what is so special about today?
This time last year, we were in Bali, having the time of our lives. And today, in specific, the 12th of October, was when Srilal and I sat down with the group and discussed our past individually, our past as a company, our present situation, and our future plans. So it was a chance to dissect the business. And it was that rebirth, shall we say, that propelled us forward over the last 12 months. And I think has been the catalyst to where we are at the moment.
So before we take a deep dive into specifically Bali and everything that's happened since then, so tell me exactly, what is it? What is Bali? What are we talking about here? How did it all start?
Right, so Srilal and I did some property training and joined the mastermind with Whitebox, which is run by Andy and Lloyd, and who are currently our JV partners in the factory conversion that we're doing. But we'd known the guys for a while, and we knew that they did these retreats twice a year. But to be honest, we didn't know much about them, and we didn't really know what we would get from them. But after being part of the community for a while, we'd seen other people, other businesses that had gone through that process and had gone to a retreat and come back and just had this fire, absolute fire, and they just hit the ground running. And there seemed to be something that was quite special that came out of those business retreats. Initially, my misconception was that it was just an excuse for a holiday, a lad's break sort of thing, and I couldn't justify going halfway across the world, spending thousands of pounds, and time away from family, my day job, and the business. But after we committed to doing it, is kind of the best decision we've ever made. And when we were there, we really realized why it's necessary to remove yourself from your daily environment to look at things from a different perspective. People said to me at the time, well, why can't you just go to the Holiday Inn or go somewhere else in England? But if you're in familiar surroundings, then there's nothing different to spark any change. You have to really be removed from everything, even the time zone. You're not accessible to your family or your friends. You're in a different world, basically, and that really takes you mentally to a different place. And you look at your business from a different perspective that you would never have looked at it before. You reflect on yourself, your achievements, things you've done well, things you haven't, etc. And it also gives you massive clarity on your vision. And you think you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, but actually, when you're really put to the test and you're given time to think, space to think, it's amazing how those thoughts and opinions change. So had we not gone to Bali, and it didn't have to be Bali per se, but had we not gone to a business retreat, we would never have known what it was like to have a rebirth of your company and the power of the collective. And Napoleon Hill talks about the power of the mastermind, but that's really the only time we've experienced a true mastermind, collective of a collection of knowledge and expertise around the table, sat not for an hour, but for a week, 10 days, to really brainstorm, dissect, analyze, give different points of view and expertise. And you learn from other people's businesses too, to see what point they're at, what struggles they've gone through. Hugely, hugely powerful. I couldn't recommend it enough. And since going, we've made the decision whether we go as a mastermind or whether we go as a company. We'll be doing a retreat every year where possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, Srilal, you sent some photos today to all of our group, and it looks absolutely stunning. You obviously got up to loads and loads of different activities there. It wasn't just the one place. So tell me, what exactly sort of was the trip like from start to finish?
Oh, wow. When we landed, me and Fur landed the first day, the very first day, we did dirt bike experience. It was like, wow. We all went in a group, and I just really enjoyed the whole trip to start from then. And every single day we had, activities planned, either in the evenings for everyone as a get together. That's obviously as after the mastermind sessions, we do go for that. Discuss the whole thing, retire, and then go to those, have fun in terms of the drinks and discussing further on that. And that's where the whole, collaboration between all the people happens. And that's where the magic happens as well. I mean, during the day as well as evenings, we just, have fun. And overall, it's one of the best trips I ever had, to be honest. Both we had a business perspective as well from a personal experience side. It was one of the best ones.
And you both mention it, weekly, I would say, just referring back to Bali. I suppose that's kind of the cornerstone of a lot of the things that we're working on, because it's all based around the vision, right? It's all based around the vision that you have, and you guys had such clarity at that point in your vision. Luckily we all sort of share the same vision in one version or another. So from your perspective, Fahad, why is a vision so important, and how has it helped you overcome certain challenges, and why is it that a vision is just so important to you?
When you're involved in a business such as ours, if you understand the property pyramid, buy-to-lets at the bottom, and as you progress through the levels, when you're doing land development, commercial conversions, you're facing huge adversity. You're dealing with complex sites, and we've got day jobs at the same time, and what we do isn't easy, and it's very, very easy to lose sight of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So the vision, without a clear vision, you don't really have any idea of where your destination is. People assign targets to a plan. The business plan is to get to X number of units, or to have this much capital growth, or this much profit. But those are arbitrary numbers, and they don't have any meaning behind them. Whereas, what does your life look like? Where is your family in 10 years? What does it mean to your children? That's when you can visualize what your life will look like in 5-10 years as a result of being successful in your current plan. That's the motivation you need on a daily basis when the nights are drawing in. You don't see the sun when you wake up in the morning, it's cold, and you think, why am I doing this? When you're not seeing your children often because you're working the weekends, or you don't get to spend time with your wife in the evenings, you're sacrificing so much of your time and your mental headspace. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into what we do. And unless you have that clear, defined, visualization, people call it a vision board, a vision statement, whatever it is, some form of vision, that's what translates to a purpose. And it's that purpose that is the fuel to make you get up every day and do what you do. So that's the driving force. For me, without a vision, I'd get lost within a week or two. The novelty wears off. You need to have that drive and determination, and it's fueled by a bigger purpose. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And obviously, Fahad, you are the master of creating an incredibly detailed vision.
We still have fun in Bali where Fahad vision when it took an hour. It's supposed to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes vision. Fahad's been for almost an hour. So it's like he holds a record for the vision.
down to the very brick.
Yeah, down to the very brick. What brick is he using for his house? Or the
I may have taken that a bit literally, but they said encompass all your senses. So if you can taste it, if you can see it, if you can smell it, that becomes real. It's no longer just a poster on the wall that you can't relate to. I can walk a day in my life 10 years from now. I know exactly what I plan it to look like. So for me, it's not a question of will it happen. It's a case of a matter of time rather than if. That's already happening. I just need to get there in 10 years. So I now fully believe in it. I'm invested into it. The law of attraction, whatever philosophy you believe in, auto-suggestion, lots of different names, the ether, if it's Napoleon Hill you're listening to. you need to have that clear, defined vision. So I can visualize it on a daily basis.
Plus, Fahad, I think it also helps us to avoid certain strategies, isn't it? If you know your vision, this is where, and when you think it's, validating certain strategies, you say, okay, this doesn't fit with us. In 3 years or 5 years, this is not where we want, let's say, essays, or let's say a big portfolio of HMOs, not something we will fancy doing. So it gives us clarity. I mean, its clarity is not about what you're doing, but what not to do as well. So that has been a huge, benefit out of this, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also it really defines your values, and you can work backwards. It's reverse engineering. If I want to be there in 10 years, well, what do I need to have done in 5 years? What does that translate to per year? That means every month I need to do this. And to achieve those things, you need to have daily discipline and routine. And so every day I need to do this. You just chunk it down into the nuts and bolts. And then it's easy. All I have to do is just follow the plan. And without a plan, it's like getting into your car and driving without having any understanding of where you're going. You're going to Scotland, you're going to France, north or south. You can't just drive and hope to get somewhere, to the destination if you haven't defined where it is. And then that's your route plan, your GPS. Take a left here, take a right there. That's your roadmap. It's simple to get somewhere if you know what directions to follow. That's what we lack. In life, generally, we wake up and we just start driving with no aim or direction and wonder why in 20 or 30 years' time we haven't got to the destination that we thought in our heads. We hadn't planned it.
And this is what I love about working with you both. You have such a similar but completely different perspective on things. Fahad, you can really visualize the bigger picture. You're working more on the people side of things. You really see the value in not just the numbers, but everything surrounding that. And obviously, Cyrilla, you're much more detail orientated. You can really ground things down. You can really explain things. You have the logical steps. You've always thought things through. So I suppose for you, it's having that vision is really important, because you can break so much of it down and then be able to strategize for the month, the weeks, the years moving forward. So how did you start to implement your vision over the last 12 months?
Is that for Srila?
That is.
Okay. So yeah, for us, it's been, we had the whole strategy in terms of, out of the Bali sessions, we were quite clearly done what are those next steps, to be honest. So what are our goals for the next ones? And to us, I think the major deal was Mill Road at that point of time. So our focus was, between me and Father, it was like, whatever deals comes, we start, taking in and start, you're concentrating. You spread too thin over all of those deals. So for us, after that, it's more about Mill Road and the prior sold deal. And when that focus and clarity came in, it was much more easy to get us monthly progress. It's say we're not taking any more deals. Just our clear focus is going to be every month trying on this. And I think we did a good job in terms of over the next 3 months, 6 months was really pivotal in terms of.
I think Srila is selling himself a bit short there. What he does in the background, as you've probably witnessed as well, Yelena, he's the engine room of knowledge. He'll read multiple books, audibles, and as soon as he's learnt something that will benefit the business, he'll be on. In my case, Father, you need to read this book. Father, you need to read this book. Have you read this book yet? No, I haven't read the book. Why haven't I read the book? So initially that was hard, maybe overbearing, but once I got on board and started listening to audibles, the book that transformed our business plan or chunked it down was the 12-week year.
Yeah.
Which, as you've read as well, Yelena, now, I think you summarized it really well. What would you say were the key highlights of the 12-week year?
Oh wow. So yeah, this is definitely something that I actually really enjoyed, and it's something you can implement straight away. I was more working off Stephen Covey's sort of grid of just doing to-do lists of what's urgent and what's not important and what's important, and I was literally living in the urgent and important, and that is the only column that I was living in. You know, I wasn't focusing on anything else. Whereas when you break it down into 12 weeks, you essentially treat 12 weeks like 1 year. So then 1 month becomes 1 week, and 1 week becomes 1 day. And you really start to break down the goals. So at the end of the 12 weeks, you have that sense of, you know, throughout the 12 weeks, you've got that sense of urgency to do things, but it's also long enough to actually be able to achieve something. So you set very realistic goals based on those sort of timelines, and you only really focus on those goals, and you have the vision, you create the goals based on that, create the goals for those 12 weeks, and then the main action points that lead to you achieving those goals amongst the weeks. And as long as you're working through those, you know, it's basically sorted, and you can really start to strategize your daily action points, have some targets that you meet, and keeping, you know, yourself accountable as opposed to anyone else. You're the only one that's responsible for your own actions. And as long as everyone else has the same mindset as you, can keep each other accountable in your own little bubble, but realistically, you're the only one that's going to get those results for yourself. So yeah, that's a great book, and we're on the second week now.
Self accountability is quite key in there, right? Reflecting on what went well and what not well, and what you could do. And when you're going with a peer group, they can help you sometimes. You know, for us, we three are professionals. We got pretty much Monday to Friday the jobs what we do, and certain hacks what Fahd would just, you know, find out would be really helpful for me. I wouldn't see it maybe, but then that's been like, you know, awesome for us. You know, this is the second 12 week going on. So
yeah, so that's what's given us visibility over, rather than just waking up and doing a to-do list and then not really be able to track where we are with any potential project. You're just juggling every day without really understanding where you are in the business, in the timeline, and it's hard to track that progress. So the 12-week year just really simplifies it. The other book that was really beneficial was The One Thing, when we realized that you don't have to achieve 50 million things in one day. It's better to do 1 or 2 things properly, get them done, and then the next day is a new page. And the compound effect of doing one thing consistently per day is far more beneficial than having a bad week and then doing 10 tasks in one day, using all your energy, all your willpower, and then you're depleted in energy the following week, and then you have another bad week. It's just the highs and lows don't really build success, but slow and steady progress, building on each day, and just simplifying things. We were maybe impatient previously, trying to get to a position in life where they talk about passive income and replacing your job and all these shiny pennies that people will teach you that you can do within 3 months and 6 months. The reality is things take a while, and don't be in too much of a rush to quit your day job. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the surroundings you have and the opportunities you have, because I think we're in a very privileged position to be in a first world, or you know, one of the best countries in the world, and we all earn a decent amount from our jobs. We're lucky, fortunate to have jobs. Not only that, we've been given the opportunity to be able to decide on a business we want to partake in our spare time effectively. You know, we're very, very fortunate to be in the industries we are in. So why rush something? Just take your time, do it properly, and enjoy what you do. It's a journey in the day rather than a destination. So we need to make sure we come to work with a smile on our face and we know what we're working for. And yeah, it's been great having you on board. You know, and it added a new dimension to the team, and we genuinely have good banter now, as well as productivity. So it's a great trio. What I call the tripod, right?
Couldn't think of anything better, could you? No, it's we all get inspired by each other, and we've all got the same values. That yeah, we're lucky to be in the jobs that we have, and we want to do things properly. We want to build solid foundations, unbreakable, unbeatable foundations for a solid business for years to come. So sure, you can get rich quick, but is it going to last? So yeah, it's we're all about doing things properly. So look, over the last 12 months, you had your goals set and you were working on lots and lots of different things. No one could have predicted COVID, so obviously that would have been incredible if that was in your vision statement. But what, how much has your plan changed, and how much have you actually been able to implement over the last 12 months?
So we had a quick reflection, and to be honest, we hadn't reflected over that original 12-month plan because so many things had changed since COVID. We kind of created a whole new business plan during that time, but it was nice to be able to reflect on what the original plan was 12 months ago. A lot of it was to do with personal circumstances and streamlining finances and accounting and everything else, some boring stuff. But some of the key milestones were we were involved in our first project at that time was a bit of land that we had an option on subject to planning. We had planning rejected for 20 houses and we just resubmitted for 18 houses. And that's the time we just gone to Bali. Things, for lack of a better description, were not going too well with our joint venture partner in that particular project, which we were very open about on the retreat. And having everyone else's opinion and insight into that was beneficial because this was uncharted territory for us. There was no rule book on what to do when you come up against rough waters and how do you navigate out of that. So yeah, the group were really instrumental in helping us identify a bad relationship. We couldn't identify it ourselves. We thought this was maybe how it was meant to be, and we maybe undervalued ourselves in that partnership. So yeah, we came back with being reinvigorated, and we took decisions rather than be passengers and let the train get out of control. We took it. We took that responsibility and we made decisions. We managed to get planning on that site, and we're very upfront with our joint venture partner and said, we wish to sell and exit at this point. They didn't agree straight away, but over the preceding months, especially having COVID happen, maybe things happen for a reason. We all ended up agreeing to sell that site and move on, and it was the best thing that we did, although we would have loved to develop it out. What it has done is freed us up to find other opportunities, and we've been far more focused in the other opportunities. And subsequently, we exchanged on Mill Road, which is an old Victorian shoe factory, which again we had just discussed in Bali as having had an interest in. We had the offer accepted, but hadn't gone any further than that. Didn't have the team. There were so many variables at that point, but it all worked out. I think having been there in Bali, everyone getting to know each other on a far deeper level, you build that trust that you can't really establish on a networking evening, for example. You can only have so many coffees with someone. You still won't know who they are or what their values are, but when you spend time, a week, 10 days at close quarters, you build that trust. And it's that was the platform for the joint venture that came out of it with Andy and Lloyd. And we're doing that factory together now, 24 apartments. So that's been hugely positive. Off the back of that, we were presented with another opportunity for 26 apartments at another factory not too far from there. So we're currently in legals moving forward with that. Andy Lloyd also gave us the opportunity to host the developers network, as they'd gotten to know us quite well and realized that we had a good network in London. And we thought, although we weren't actually living in London, me and Sriel, they thought we'd be the best fit for London. And that was kind of our stomping ground for other networking events that we'd be going to quite regularly and part of other clubs. So yeah, it was those two deals. Exiting one deal, we've moved on to two others, and we were going to be launching the networking event, and then COVID happened. But yeah, we've gone on to other things since then. We had a cash flow strategy previously that we penciled in or thought about, but that's completely been flipped on its head. But we've got a far better solution, which I think you're probably in the best place to explain, Yelena, what we're doing on that side.
Yeah, I think reading back on your business plans that you shared, it's all the same. It all ultimately leads to the same vision, right? But I think this, the social housing model fits alongside our values a lot better, and specifically within our current position as well. And it's definitely something that we align with, and it gives us much more of a purpose than just aimlessly getting, constantly increasing our portfolio. This really does take a completely different spin on things, and there's a lot more sort of passion that comes along with that, because there's other things that you're kind of satisfying, and obviously that links to development as well, presenting a lot more opportunities there. So building up a portfolio of cash flowing assets through the social housing model is really the ideal strategy that we've all collaborated on. So that's definitely, we've sort of gone over the successes. What about some of the challenges as well? Any particular learning points specifically over the last year? And I completely empathise with, not necessarily having great relationships with different business partners, and it's just something I think you can never predict, can you? And it sort of happens, but you learn so much from it. For me anyway, in the way that my mind works, I love to think of things as always a learning opportunity, even if something quite negative or uncomfortable has happened, and then there's always room to grow, and always end up sort of seeing it in a positive light, if not necessarily immediately. So yeah, aside from that, what have been some of your other learning points this year?
I'll let Sridhar field this question. How many offers do you think we've put in, Sridhar, and projects we've lost out on?
Yeah, so we put almost 15 offers or something, but the major ones, I mean, we've been, the main ones I'll say is the one on the Rock Street, which was quite recent. We were betting heavily. We had a good relation with the vendor. He always committed that, whenever he's going on the market, it's going to be yours, and we will have the first refusal. But then he's been messed around a couple of times. He went back, came back to us after a year now, not almost 10, 11 months, and yeah, we put the offer in. He was kind of happy, but the last minute he just changed it. That was like, for us. But overall, from a challenges perspective, I would say, mainly things doesn't work as per plan. Like our network events, we had everything booked in, the venue booked in, the tickets all sold out, and April 2nd we were supposed to have it. 2 weeks before, everything gone. Still now we haven't got it there. So that's one part of it. Fahd, you want to fill up the rest? I mean,
yeah, I think it's just the main thing for me is, as you said, when things don't go according to plan, do you sit there and complain, or do you pivot? I think that was a key word that's been used during COVID is businesses that are able to pivot and turn to a different direction. I think we've been fortunate as we've got tenacity and we don't give up. And luckily we never rely on one project, because if you did rely on one project and that falls out of bed, then suddenly you've got nothing to work on for the next 6 months. So for some people, it's maybe a bit scary, or these guys are in full-time day jobs. They've got a factory for 24 apartments. They're doing another factory for 26 apartments, and they're looking at further deals. But you've got to understand that these things won't all happen at one time. Funding might be delayed on one of the projects. Planning might be delayed on another project. One project may just completely fall out of bed. Whatever happens, and then where are you? You need to make sure you've got your pipeline full. You can always push things back, but unless you've got a pipeline, it's always difficult. So we've been very proactive. But yeah, the challenges are not to get emotionally attached to failures or offers that we put in. We were, I'd say, maybe a little bit emotionally invested in a couple of projects. We built those relationships. We really tried to build that rapport with the owners and create a win-win scenario. And you think you're in pole position to win that deal, and then it goes to someone else or whatever. It is a bit of a kick in the teeth. But we've now learned that one no or the next no is just one step closer to the next yes. So it's just about putting the offers in, doing the work, not being afraid of rejection. You can't expect to win everything. You just need to make sure you're doing enough work that you win more times than you lose.
And I think again we're very lucky that across the board, we're able to just cherry pick whatever it is that we want. I mean, when we're looking at deals specifically for ourselves, we're very, very conservative on numbers. I like you said, Srilal was conservative, and then I come along and I just downvalue absolutely everything. Just worst case scenario. But it's, yeah, we're able to cherry pick because we're not, I think a lot of people get into property because they are in quite a vulnerable or a state where they want to just take any deal that comes along. And I think because we are of quite a, I suppose, stable and kind of relaxed mindset, that we are able to just cherry pick the best things and not worry too much if things don't go to plan, because there's always going to be the next thing, there's always another deal, there's always going to be something else. So we have that comfort. And I suppose working in a team as well, where we're celebrating each other's success and encouraging each other to do better, it works really well.
I think the other, if I can say, the other major USP that we have as developers or the company that we are is we always have the other party in mind. We always try and create a win-win scenario, and we genuinely try and help people, build relationships with people, involve them. We don't mind taking less profit ourselves as long as someone else can get involved and have a profit share if they want. Helping investors, helping landowners, not trying to secure project for the cheapest possible price, but offering value in return. And I think that's been shown in the short space of time that we've been working, that agents will want to work with us, and owners really want us to have the projects. I think everyone that comes across our style of working sees the ethics, the transparency, and the integrity behind what we do. And I now no longer worry about forcing success, because I've seen that our values speak for themselves, and our work will hopefully be a legacy what we can look back on and be proud on, that we've helped a lot of people. I'm talking more about the smaller scale in the initial phases, but we've talked about our vision and what we wish to do in terms of philanthropy and where that can take us, creating a charitable foundation and doing things in developing countries from the profits that we may generate as a development company. Again, that's a major passion that drives me forward. So when you have such ethics and values in the core of your business, what can go wrong?
Yeah. And further on top of it, it makes it much more entertaining, as it's a very lonely world. If you look at it, when we started, entrepreneurship, when you start, it's very lonely. And the more we collaborate with people, and especially experience and all the people we work with, we find it much more entertaining. In site visits, or for that matter, contracting, or any side of the business, when you look at it, it's been, reflecting back, it's we're enjoying more the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's all it's good.
I'm having more fun now than I was. Sometimes the fun comes at the beginning, where everything's a novelty and everything's new and fresh. It's a new toy to play with. But once you realize that this toy is more of an educational toy and it takes a lot of work, it can lose its shine. You may put it down and pick up something easier to play with. But as time's gone on, I've just started to enjoy working with each other more and more and more. I'm far more relaxed because I'm having fun. And then it doesn't seem like you're working. The productivity comes naturally. It doesn't have to be forced anymore. And it's also due to clarity. When more people come on board that are like-minded, who can see your vision, it's like a validation, isn't it? When you may think you're the crazy one in the family, when no one else is on the same mindset. But when you start surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and they're also of the same mindset, suddenly it gives you a massive boost that you're not alone in this world, and there are other people that are as ambitious and have good intentions like you do. And it also reaffirms your faith in humanity. I might be getting too philosophical for this call now, but I think it's a really cool space to be. The synergy between us and the synergy that we're creating with people that we work with is just really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think our family members might call us crazy, trying to compete who's going to get up the earliest in the morning. 4:59. But yeah, we'll call it ambitious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
but yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on. What does the next 12 months then, as a snapshot, that we can share with the rest of the world?
Wow, the next 12 months, we would be quite progressed with Mill Road. We would have had our 2 show flats completed. We'll be doing site visits, so people that are interested in learning more about development, they can come and we will show them around the site. They can see where the building was from a derelict, vacant building for 10 years to where it is now, and what the vision is for the apartments. That's going to be a really cool thing. I don't think there are many site visits of listed, or not listed building, but Victorian buildings that you can go and see. So we want to give back and help people that are coming in on the journey with that. Rothwell, we're close to agreeing terms there moving forward. We've got a very exciting joint venture partner that we're working with there. And we may be doing that as a turnkey project for a housing association. So that's really cool to establish and cement that relationship. There, we're now expanding quite heavily into the land consultancy side. So that was purely by accident, because we've got connections, we've got a good network, decent working knowledge, got access to software and manpower. And we were finding sites. So just so happened that we were introduced to some land, and we've accidentally found ourselves being land promoters, connecting owners with an end user, and that's proving to be very successful. So we're being approached with more sites now to do land promotion and consultancy work. So it's really humbling to be considered as experts, although I don't consider us experts. There are far more experienced people in the industry, but we're being perceived or seen as people to go to for advice and help. And that's ultimately what we're here for, is to help. If we can bridge that gap in knowledge, or we can help connect people, or we can smooth someone's transition from point A to point B, that's what we're here to do. I think the business will keep growing on that side. Social housing is the most exciting development that's come about since COVID, since we started speaking during lockdown. That has just taken off from a standing start. We've got that requirement from the housing charity and more supported living providers that we're going to be working with. Exciting times. We've been given a list of areas and how many properties, and we're basically going shopping to try and fill this requirement, because they have an urgent requirement, and that's just one housing charity. We realise that we help them, we help investors, and we benefit as a result. I mean, what's not to like about that business model? It's a quick to market, scalable business model that you and Srila are mostly heading up. So I actually take massive pride in just sitting back and watching you guys work these projects through, and the rate at which you're going. It's incredible. It's an incredible pace that this has started from. So I'm just really excited. In fact, you guys should tell me what are the numbers looking like for 12 months. What's the projections?
You're the numbers guy.
I think it's first we had the main thing is we got the 12-week plan. So which is the first next quarter is getting 3 deals completed, completely swigger, and from then on is basically during this time we also have in slightly set up, which is basically systemizing the whole system for us to take the numbers, because there is only limited number of deals we can hold in our head. So we need the second brain. So once that comes up, and which we are definitely hoping like another 20 minimum sort of, under our belt with the next 12 months.
Yeah, we're basically doubling down once we go through the cycles, and really it's also about expanding our network, and we can't necessarily fulfill all of the requirements, so it's really scaling up, not only in terms of the actual number of units that we'll acquire, but it's also growing the network, not only of professionals that we work with, but also investors, because for us it's I think we're quite lucky to have a network that we completely understand as well, that are in a similar position to us. And not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur working the hours that we do, trying to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just not feasible for everyone, and not everyone wants to do that, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's being able to help others as well, and help investors that we completely understand the situation that they're in when they are working full-time jobs, and enjoy that stability and security. So it's just helping them, kind of offering them opportunities as well to work with us. And like you say, it's all about collaboration, it's all about synergy, and we might as well build relationships with like-minded people.
Yeah, fantastic. It's exciting 12 months. There's 20 properties in the social housing model, smaller properties, and 5 developments at different stages in 12 months that we should hopefully be exiting one midway through the other, starting one, planning one, and pipelining another. So hopefully we envisage 5 developments that will be transitioning through as well. And all these are with joint venture partners. So it's not like me and Skrill are laying bricks every day. It's everything's, you've got the right people in the right places. How I explain property development to my friends who are not in property, because they just don't understand, or they can't relate to how we do what we do. It's like being the conductor of an orchestra, isn't it? You don't have to necessarily be the expert at playing the violin or the cello. You conduct, you find the experts, you find the planning consultant, you find the architect, you find the contractor. Everyone has their role. Your job is to make sure they all sing off the same hymn sheet. And if you get that right, it's a beautiful symphony, isn't it?
What a way to end the hour. That was incredible. So guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you and going over what the last 12 months has been like, what the next 12 months is going to look like. I'm super excited for the next 12 months and many more to come. So thanks a lot, guys. Let's catch up again very soon.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.